Have you ever noticed how cities wake up like factories, no matter how much glass and chrome we bolt to the skyline? The alarm rings, the coffee drips, the train doors hiss, and suddenly millions of people are marching in synchronized misery toward desks they would abandon in a heartbeat if the exit sign didn't look like bankruptcy. The 2023 global poll said 7 out of 10 workers feel disengaged, yet every sunrise, the very same 70% hand over the best hours of their consciousness to jobs that drain them. If an alien anthropologist hovered above Earth at 8:00 a.m., it might conclude that humans worship fluorescent light and sacrifice their dreams to appease it. But the rituals of modern labor were never etched into the fabric of reality. They were engineered. 2 centuries ago, factory owners needed predictable bodies at predictable machines. So they designed schools to train punctual obedience, bells, rows, standardized tests that graded compliance as heavily as arithmetic. Fast forward to today's open-plan offices and Slack pings, and you'll find the architecture unchanged. Sit still, wait for permission, trade 5 days for 2 and call that freedom. The tragedy is neurological. Repetition wires the brain. Neurons that fire together wire together. 10,000 mornings of alarms, commutes, and performance reviews persuade the nervous system that deviation equals danger. Even when the conference room slides feel like anesthesia, the subconscious whispers, "Stay, safety lies here." We have confused familiarity with security. Yet the arithmetic of liberation rarely requires a grand leap. More often it asks for a single protected hour. Consider Maya, a payroll clerk who dreamed of illustrating children's books. Quitting felt impossible. Rent, car, health insurance. Instead, she carved 75 minutes each night between dishes and bedtime. Day 1, she sketched a lonely fox. Day 30, she storyboarded an adventure. By day 365, she held a portfolio and 10 paying clients. The cubicle wasn't the prison. The myth that only revolution, never evolution, could free her was the real cage. Why does the system cling so tightly? Because it runs on 3 invisible myths. First, that work equals hours, not value. Peg compensation to the clock and corporations can buy your lifetime wholesale. Second, that security comes from a single paycheck. In truth, that is a single point of failure. Diversified income, side gigs, royalties, freelance skills resembles a spider web. One strand snaps, the structure holds. Third, that mastery is a genetic lottery. Research on deliberate practice proves otherwise. Sustained, focused micro-sessions grow talent like compound interest. Imagine reclaiming 90 minutes of every 24-hour cycle. The average adult scrolls social media more than 2 hours a day. Repossess half and you bank 10 hours a week, 40 a month, 500 a year. An entire college semester invested in a private mission. A bakery launched in a rented kitchen, an app coded at dawn, a novel drafted while the world binges Netflix. Responsibility will object. Bills must be paid, kids fed, elders cared for. Responsibility is real. Resignation is optional. History is full of night students and weekend inventors. Thomas Edison manned the telegraph night shift so daylight belonged to experiments. Toni Morrison wrote before her children woke and after they slept. These were not anomalies. They were schedulers who understood that compound minutes build empires. The corporate machine prefers exhausted workers. Fatigue converts bold questions into polite compliance. That's why many companies glorify grit but penalize boundaries. Overtime is cheaper than hiring. When colleagues brag about 70-hour weeks, silently translate, "I exchange health for someone else's margins." The remedy is micro-ownership. Select one slice of your calendar and treat it like equity. During that hour, you are CEO of You Incorporated. Phone on airplane mode, browser tabs closed, posture different. University of Illinois neuroscientists found that context switching can vaporize 40% of productive energy. Guard the hour like a vault. Doubt will sneer that tiny steps are pointless. Doubt lies. The chasm between 0 and 1 is infinite, between 1 and 2, merely incremental. Author James Clear notes that 1% improvement compounded daily makes you 37 times better in a year. Compound stagnation, and the opposite occurs. Culture may label your hour selfish. Children, however, learn possibility from example, not slogans. A parent who paints at sunrise teaches courage louder than a sermon at dinner. Communities flourish when members bring fresh skills, not when everyone salutes the same supervisor. Picture a future documentary of your life. Does the camera linger on traffic jams and spreadsheet cells, or zoom into a garage studio blowing at midnight? Every present moment is a frame. You cannot stop the filming. You can only change the script. Start embarrassingly small. Sketch one line, code one function, record one riff. Momentum respects humility. If distraction wins today, forgive quickly. Guilt is procrastination dressed for a masquerade ball. The global economy is a story, and stories depend on characters remaining predictable. The moment you improvise, the plot reveals gaps. You don't need to burn the system down. You need to rewrite your role from passive employee to active producer. The schedule you inherited is a draft. Edit ruthlessly. Tonight, list a single dream delayed by daylight excuses. Schedule one non-negotiable hour this week to advance it. Protect that appointment with the same ferocity you protect your paycheck, because it is a paycheck, the only one where you are both boss and shareholder. Maybe you worry that small steps won't bridge big dreams. Remember Myers Fox. Remember Edison's night shift. Remember that every skyscraper rises one brick at a time, and the first brick looks lonely until the skyline arrives. Resistance will morph, sometimes as urgency. Your inbox needs you. Sometimes as modesty. Who am I to attempt this? Sometimes as loyalty. Your boss will notice. Name each disguise and walk past. Loyalty to an institution that would replace you in 2 weeks is misplaced. Loyalty to your future self is never wasted. Money anxiety often masks mission anxiety. We tell ourselves we can't afford risk, yet spend thousands on convenience designed to numb dissatisfaction. Cancel one streaming service, brew coffee at home, and watch how quickly the budget for dreams materializes. Time anxiety hides under social masks. Soccer practice, committee meetings, obligatory drinks. A spreadsheet audit of last month's evenings usually uncovers hours lost to scrolling small talk and errands that serve other people's pipelines. Reallocate half and witness a secret fortune of minutes appear. Energy anxiety whispers that after work you're too drained to create. Experiment. Trade 30 minutes of doom scroll for a brisk walk, then sit at the keyboard. Physical motion primes mental ignition. Shakespeare wrote by candlelight, not daylight, because evenings can glimmer when purpose strikes. Systems resist change until they flip suddenly. The gig economy, the creator economy, the remote revolution, all erupted from individuals who tested tiny edges until cracks widened. Your micro-ownership hour is one more crack. Imagine millions carving such hours. Novelists in laundromats, coders on commuter trains, bakers proofing dough at dawn. The mainstream would shift. Corporations would adapt by offering part-time contracts, equity options, flexible schedules. They already are. Pressure always precedes policy. Will some dreams fail? Absolutely. But failure inside a self-directed story fertilizes insight. Failure inside someone else's script just earns a new supervisor. Risk belongs to either path. Only one promises authorship. Legacy isn't marble statues. It is a ripple of permission. When you step outside the hamster wheel, you leave a footprint on the guardrail. Someone behind you will notice the dent and wonder if that rail was ever locked. Regret, according to hospice research, centers not on what we attempted, but on the unlived. At 80, which will sting more, bruises from experiments or the emptiness of never trying. Tonight, before the pillow wins, whisper to your subconscious, "I am worth 1 hour." Then set an alarm, prepare the tools, and when dawn arrives, follow through before the industrial chorus begins to chant its lullaby. If this reflection switched on even a small beacon, smash likes, so the algorithm learns we prefer freedom to fluorescent worship. Subscribe for weekly sparks that illuminate the exit ramp. And in the comments, declare the first micro-action you'll take. Your sentence might be the lantern guiding another commuter off the endless loop. Consider the brain as a 3-layer campus, the reptile quad guarding safety, the mammal quad chasing belonging, the human quad forecasting futures. Traditional employment pacifies all three. Salary signals safety, a team provides belonging, promotions mimic progress. But the arrangement is conditional. Keep the badge, and you may keep the perks. Entrepreneurship, side gigs, and creative projects feel threatening because they require self-generated safety, belonging, and progress. Yet once internalized, these sources are portable. Lose a client, and you still possess the skill that earned them, the network you built, the vision steering your compass. That is freedom packaged as resilience. We can even quantify the switch. Psychologists studying self-determination theory list autonomy, competence, and relatedness as human fuel. Many 9-to-5 roles rank high on relatedness, yet starve autonomy and limit competence to narrow cubicle tasks. Plotting those metrics on a weekly chart often jolts people. The hours that drain us correlate with autonomy needles buried at 0. Turn the dial even slightly. A side blog, a craft market stall, a micro consultancy, and the batteries register charge. Neuroscience backs the spreadsheet. Autonomy triggers striatal dopamine release, the same pathway lit by novelty and reward. One reason vacations feel euphoric isn't the beach, it's agency over schedule. Introduce micro-agency into weekdays, and the brain stops living solely for Fridays. Skeptics insist the system can't bend. History disagrees. The 40-hour week was once radical until labor movements rewrote norms. Remote work was taboo until a pandemic broke the script. Norms are only paragraphs repeated until memorized. Edit enough copies and the anthology updates. Still, doubt edges closer. It points to rent prices, medical bills, student loans. The answer is strategic sequencing. Rather than leap, build a ramp. Step 1. Develop a valuable skill during protected hour. Step 2. Monetize it to cover a single bill, maybe the phone plan. Step 3. Snowball earnings to eclipse groceries, then rent. By the time the day job only supports discretionary spending, resignation ceases to be rebellion. It becomes arithmetic. Mindset must scale with income. Some who escape still replicate corporate cages in their own ventures, chaining themselves to 12-hour hustle, because that is the only rhythm they know. Freedom is not working anytime. It is not having to work all the time. Schedule slack. Idleness fertilizes creativity. Even God, says the myth, rested on day 7. Isolation can ambush solo journeys. Counter with mastermind groups, 3 to 5 peers meeting weekly for accountability. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar notes humans trust deeply in circles of roughly 5. Share wins, stuck points, and next actions. External ears make internal promises louder. Your environment writes subtext. If your desk faces piles of unpaid bills, the brain associates creation with threat. Tidy one corner into a studio altar, a candle, a sketch pad, a guitar stand. Rituals cue state change. Hemingway sharpened pencils. Maya Angelou rented a motel room. You might simply shut one door. Time perception warps under routine. Ever notice how childhood summers felt endless yet adult weeks evaporate? Novelty stretches time. Insert 12 novel micro-experiences per month and the year expands, gifting what psychologists call the reminiscence bump, a thicker memory record which feels like a longer life. Finances require equal narrative reframe. Instead of saving money, call it buying hours. Each unnecessary subscription, cancelled purchases, 20 minutes of dream time. Seeing currency as minutes reframes thrift from deprivation to acquisition of freedom. The body is a collaborator. Junk food, blue light, and sedentary afternoons sabotage cognitive firepower. You wouldn't ask a race car to win on watered gas. A 20-minute walk and a liter of water triple prefrontal cortex efficiency. Protect the machine that builds the dream. Family pushback may sting. Parents proud of your stable benefits, partners anxious about irregular income. Share your ramp, not just your leap. Show spreadsheets, pilot results, testimonials. Fear diminishes in the presence of data. A final enemy hides inside language. Notice phrases like, I have to work tomorrow. Replace with, I choose to trade 8 hours for dollars tomorrow. Choice syntax whittles invisible chains. When choice feels absurd, audit the budget, trim wants, amplify side revenue until the statement becomes factual. Will society collapse if millions exit the grinder? Unlikely. New markets will bloom. Consumer dollars will follow creators. Local economies will diversify. When workers own value streams, wealth distribution flattens. This isn't utopia. It's the gig economy evolved into the ownership economy. Envision an ordinary Wednesday 5 years ahead. You wake without alarm at 6:30, jog while listening to a podcast that sparks product ideas, answer client emails for 2 hours, break to attend your child's recital at noon, return to refine a tutorial video that earns while you sleep, and close the laptop by 4 to cook dinner. Your income ceiling is tied only to innovation, not annual performance reviews. What you just imagined is not fantasy. It is arithmetic applied to reclaimed minutes. Transformation begins tonight. Identify one skill that could earn value. Schedule the protected hour 3 evenings this week. Place the appointment in ink. Inform someone whose opinion matters so social expectation fortifies resolve. When the hour arrives, turn the key, enter the studio, and push the first domino. Your future self is already watching, cheering, waiting to inherit the compounding results of this evening. Don't let them down. If this extended reflection rewired even a single circuit in your mindset, smash like so the platform's algorithm learns we crave autonomy over autopilot. Subscribe for weekly sparks that expose hidden exit ramps. And in the comments, share the first domino you will tip tonight, because your micro-action might ignite the chain reaction for someone still imprisoned in the glow of fluorescent sunrise.